time, today our job, we have gone significantly in sampling. And the purpose of sampling, we have explained very well. That our idea is to get on board the reality. We are going to take the reality to the researcher's desk. To get into the reality, the researcher do a number of jobs before, like he put the research question, then he do research, they do research, review of literature, then set objectives, put hypothesis, put all the research designs, conceptual model, implement theoretical model to get the conceptual model. And now with this, they are going to get connected to the real world. The real world is the sample. But when we choose the sample, we should get the real thing inside. This was what we were talked in our last 3 sessions. Now, today we are going to learn how we can get the real world from our samples through data collection tools. Try to understand it in an easy way. How you know that you learned things for your programs? By doing the exam, undergoing assessment. So the university exam is an assessment tool, isn't it? In that assessment tool, in fact, what the assessment does, they are not going to ask you all the things what they have taught you in the curriculum. Instead of that, they choose certain important questions, significant questions of different intensity, light, medium, heavy, so that once the assessor looks at how the scholar, how the student has interpreted the answers, how it is visualized with the right examples, how the problems are analyzed, how the case studies are critically analyzed with the theoretical background. These all the things ensures the examiner that, oh my God, the student has done good. And we give a certain ranking, rating, score for the student. So this is the simple way, try to understand how much the student has learned, isn't it? So exam, the university exam is a tool. And the questions what they choose is the different kinds of topics that is being asked to the learner, so that it shows that the capacity of what the learner has studied, understood. And we use Bloom's taxonomy for that. So similarly, we as a researcher, we want to bring the real world through samples. Now, how we will collect the real world through the samples is using the right tool, right data collection tool. So as we move from the research objectives to evidence collection, what is evidence collection? That is getting the real world on board. We use the data collection tool. So maybe there are many data collection tools. I'll not be able to explain everything because it is not a session about the data collection tools available for research, but it is a session on how to choose the right tool. So the right tool gives you right data, and the right data gives you right results. So the learning objectives of today's session, as we conclude this session, you will be able to explain and understand the meaning and importance of data collection tools in research. Then we'll try to see major data collection tools and their usage. But I understand today's session, I will not be able to explain all the data collection tools because to reach the data collection tools, we have to follow many steps. So we try to bring how to choose the data collection tools based on the certain steps. Then we will do match the right tool with the research objectives, design, and context. Then we evaluate the strength and limitations of different data collection tools. Then we apply, the researcher is going to apply the decision criteria to select the most suitable tool for your research study. Is that micro, meso, or your major research? I hope today I'll be able to cover the first part, explain meaning and importance and some steps, because that itself is going to take more than an hour. Now, the learning outcomes. So these learning objectives, I propose 3 sessions. So I believe that by 3 sessions, we will be able to complete what you're going to see the session title, choosing the appropriate data collection tool. That if we rush only. Now, the learning outcomes, once you complete this series of sessions, you will be able to select what is the right appropriate data collection tool that align with your research questions and objectives. What tool you have to use to collect valid, reliable, and relevant data for analysis. Then how to improve the quality, credibility, and impact of your research findings. 100%, because if you collect valid data, if you collect reliable data, if you collect the real world of your samples or your population onto your research desk, your findings will be better. Then you will learn how to design a data collection plan that is feasible and ethical. Because if you have a real collection tool with you, then you can plan it. Then enhance and justify. You are going to become more able and justify yourself at the time of your defense why you choose that tool. That is more important, because when you follow all these matters, if a question comes why you have gone for this tool, yes, you have a natural, authentic, realistic answer. So what we are going to discuss, we have 8 things, but today we will go only for very few things, maybe 1 and 2 only. That is, I give some introduction, why the tool matters in research and what is a data collection tool. Method tools, I don't have to explain much on that one, but I'll be discussing more on matching tools to research types and objectives. That is the major point of discussion, because other things we have explained a lot and you know it in general. This is the significant part, how to match the tools to your research objectives. Then we will talk about the factors to consider, because when you choose a tool, why we choose data collection, get the real world. And how we use the real world, by generalizing using sample. Why we do sampling? Because we have to save a lot of things. We cannot go everywhere and get into the all individuals or all specimen under study. Then we give some examples with ICT as well as social science. Then we will learn how to validate, how to make your data collection tool reliable and validated one. Then we'll have a Q&A session. So I believe 3 to 4, maybe up to 5 sessions, a series of 5 sessions will complete what I propose for this one. So today's session, I put for 60 minutes. I'm not sure, but we will try to see how much we can complete by today. Now, you all my scholars, you are going to work with this. So I begin to start the session in research. The quality conclusion is the quality evidence. What is the quality evidence? You get quality evidence by choosing or collecting appropriate data collection tools. So what is the purpose of the data collection tool? To get the real world on your table. So better tools, better data. Better data, better research. Better research, better impact. So that becomes a research with a purpose. So we know research is, in fact, I say factual thing. It is built on evidence. It should not be a guesswork at home. It should not be your feelings, your emotions, your experience. It is the evidence collecting real data. And how is this evidence collected? The evidence is collected using data collection tools. So I recall you, by data collection, using appropriate tools or right tools, what you are collecting is the real evidence. It is not faked up thing, the real thing. The real thing of the research scenario you are bringing. For that, you need good tools. So I want to highlight in the word evidence, because evidence is always truthful. No fake up in that. It is the truthful thing. To get the truthful thing, you need some tools. There are many tools available, but the right and appropriate data collection tool that is specific to each research, each scenario. You may be doing same research, maybe of the same kind, but depending upon the type of population, we have studied about the categorization of population, isn't it? In our last session, how they are categorized, how they are spread. So you may have to use different collection of different types of data collection. This is why we talked a lot on sampling techniques. But what happened to many researchers? The major mistakes what we make. As I told you before, we try to use the most familiar sampling technique, but we forget or we avoid or we don't know to use the most appropriate sampling technique. And we use a lot of things on convenience. And we refer previous researches, previous theses. Or if you have done some research, you always prefer to use that one. So these are major mistakes. But what you have to do, you first look at what is your research question, what is your objective, what you're going to measure, what you are going to relate, what you are going to develop, what relations. Then are you going to explore? You have to choose the kind of research what you're going to do. Are you going to explore? Are you going to investigate? So, there are different kinds of research. So check on your research objectives. Then you will identify what type of data you need and your research design. So these all things you have to focus. Instead of that, don't focus on familiarity, convenience, and you may read any number of theses. I believe so. And as you do your review of literature, you fix in your mind, okay, let me use this one. Let me use this. It is more important for me, or it has a lot of familiarity with my research or similarity with my research. So don't do like that. Avoid these mistakes and you focus what we have mentioned here on your design, kind of data and objectives. So baseline, right tool, right data, reliable evidence, and quality research. Now, if you look at here, what we are going to get by this series of sessions, I'm sure I will not be able to complete in one session 3 to 4. It is a series of sessions. So you will know what is the meaning of a data collection tool. And we'll see the major data collection tools, how to match one tool or the set of tools to your research objectives. Choose the right tool for you. But when you choose that one, you have to understand its limits and strengths, because we have to scientifically evaluate, scientifically justify. So these all things we are going to do. So these I don't want to repeat. Right tool, right data, reliable evidence. Yes, evidence should be reliable. I always follow some kind of investigations. Now, if you read investigative novels, if you watch investigative series, video series, you can find how they collect a different kind of evidences. So, that's interesting. We can see how they collect evidence, maybe fingerprint, or they spot a lost button from a suit, or the end of the trash of a cigarette butt, or a piece of a strip of the hair, or a blood stain. Many things, isn't it? So how an investigator get the reliable evidence to prove the crime, the people who have done the crime in a crime scene. Similarly, you as a researcher use good tools that get you the real data, the real time, the actual data of the population, and makes a good research. So, sorry, what is a data collection tool? Now, everyone knows, very simple. We all know what is a data collection tool. We make a questionnaire, we do focus group discussions, we do interviews, we do observation, we take opinion of people, and we measure emotions, or we measure many things. People's likes, dislikes, people agree, people disagree. See, but you have to make sure, is that relevant to your research? So to say better in a formal way, it is actually an information collection. What is the purpose of information collection? What is an information? A set of data arranged properly that becomes an information, isn't it? So you are collecting evidences to get an information. But these evidences, when we can measure it properly, then we can use it for a research purpose. So the data collection tools should give you evidence, should be able to collect the evidence. It should be able to give information, and what you collected should be able to be measured, and it can lead to observations and opinions and many other things. So data collection tool, it is an instrument we use to collect information, evidence, opinions, observation. For what? Research purpose. I say research purpose, not for other things. If you use it for other things, then it becomes unethical. So make sure what you collect, what information you make, it should be only for research purpose, and don't use it for other needs. So the purpose of a data collection tool, it helps the researcher to collect or to gather accurate and relevant data. This is very, very important. The tool what you use should be able to collect accurate and relevant data. Why we say relevant? You are using a sample. You know your population. Don't collect data from source that neither related to population nor to sample, because you are running behind number. Don't do that. Then ensure the data is collected systematically. It is consistent and reliable. Now, when we do a market research. You are going to do a research for a new product that is going to be developed, a kind of shampoo, hair shampoo. You know, as people grow in age, the hairs become gray. And when you transit, there is a transition period from the black or brown hair to a gray hair. It's most challenging. You look at me, I have gray hairs, but I prefer to make it dark. Sometimes I prefer to make it the gray hair. But you know, as we move through the age, people has more wish to become young, isn't it? As we move through the age, as we pass through the age, you try to become more young. That is why you do exercise, you do all the aesthetical things, beautification works, what you can do on your face and skin. So I'm coming back what I'm trying to say. Now, you're going to develop a new hair shampoo that can easily change your hairs to black or required color as it grows in gray. So for this, what you're trying to do, you are trying to do a market research. So you made the data collection tool. Now just imagine you are collecting the data mostly from people who don't have gray hairs, from youngsters. But you're collecting data, but is that reliable and systematic? No. Some people, I know some of my friends, they don't wish to change the natural color of their hair. They always prefer, you know, if my hair has changed from gray to full white or snow white, I want to remain like that. It shows my maturity, acceptance in the society. People like me, what we think, okay, let's make it dark, 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 so that I look young. But however you look young, your skin will tell what is your age. It's my side. You know, there are very good celebrities whose age you cannot identify at all. They do good exercise, they have good dietary habits, and they undergo all these aesthetic procedures so that they always try to keep up their age in the minimum affordable, attractive age limit, isn't it? Sorry for my bad cup. So what I say, when you collect data, it should ensure it is collected systematically and reliably, not just do data collection for the sake of collecting data. The next thing, your research has some objectives, isn't it? What you want to accomplish, what you want to prove or disagree or disagree. So based on that only the data has to be collected. Means don't collect data to prove what you proposed. No, what I'm saying, it should have relevance to either agree or disagree or to measure. Then the data what you collected after cleaning, it should provide.
Doctor, can I say something?
Please. Yes, please. James.
Yes, I think that's from Abok. He wants to say something. Abok, I think you can speak.
What is that, Abok? Did he send a message to me? Abok? James?
Doctor, I think network should be disturbing him. Maybe you can proceed. We shall catch up with him.
What did he say?
I didn't hear him either, but his voice came on as if he wanted to say something.
Okay. But members, so before I proceed, is that okay? Are you getting on the right track what I'm saying?
Yes, doctor.
See, never think that it is a repetition, because in research, there is only one thing to say. You know that, isn't it? But we are trying to see it from different dimensions. So when we use the right data collection tool, it helps you to make a better thing. So, to sum up, almost the same thing I told you about sample, but in sample, we are trying to see what forms the cross section of your population that can be used to generalize. And in data collection, what we are going to see, how we will get the evidence from that sample, isn't it? So this is why we use a data collection tool. Now we are coming to the real thing. Your data collection tool comes from the research flow. So we all know this research flow. The first one is your research problem leading to research objectives. From this, you need a data, isn't it? We need data. And we use data collection method. For that data collection method, we use data collection tools. And this data is used for analysis and for finding. So this is just to recall what is the actual research flow. And now you can see where the data collection tool comes. So the data collection tool that connects the necessary requirements to make the final findings. So I'm making a small study. I'm trying to explain with a sample study. The sample study is, nowadays AI is much more improving the studies of students, improve the sessions of faculty members. In fact, you can also see the diagrams, what I make, I prompt and that AI makes all these things. Otherwise, to make all these boards, it takes a lot of time, isn't it? So we are going to make a small study. The effect of AI-based learning on student performance among the undergraduate students of our university, is BAT University, in our 2 campuses. So this is a small study, a micro study. So what I say, read the title, Effect of AI-based learning on student performance. In that, we can see once we are looking at 2 things. How student performance is being influenced by AI-based learning. And we are trying to see, is there any relation between the AI-based learning adapted by the student and whether it is improving the student performance or decreasing the student performance. And it gives us some data insights, and we can see, is that good, better learning outcomes are happening because of AI. There are good phases of AI and bad phases of AI. If you look at the bad side, AI never says no. AI pretends that it knows everything. So a student, if they don't go to the real learning, what the student is getting on board from AI, the student don't know whether it is right or wrong, and it lead to a kind of falsifications. We are going to see that one. Yeah, right. So this is how we are going to approach the study and how we are going to reach to the data collection tool. So the research has aims. Why I say this, you always should have these 3 things with you before you do things. Even it is for sampling, even it is for data collection tools, all the time you should have your micro research things, these 3 things with you. You can write on the wall, don't write on the wall. It should have some printed sheets with you or as images in your mobile phone, digital devices for a quick reference. When I say this, you should be able to recall what are the aims, objectives, and hypotheses of your micro research. So here, the aims, I have 3 aims to assess the level of AI-based learning usage among my undergraduate students. So this includes my higher education certificates, my diploma, and my all other undergraduate programs. So why I want to assess the level of AI-based learning usage it will help me to determine the level of AI-based learning usage among my students. So once I assess, I can determine how much they are using. So for this, I'm putting an hypothesis. There is a significant level of AI-based learning usage among my undergraduate students, isn't it? So I can have my null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Now, my second aim, whether this AI-based learning is affecting the academic performance of my students. So I'm investigating. Once I assess and I investigate the effect of AI-based learning on academic performance. So this will lead to the objective to examine the relationship between AI-based learning usage among the students and their academic performance. So that is the corresponding objective. So I set a hypothesis, AI-based learning usage has a significant positive impact or positive relationship with students' academic performance. Now, I'm also trying to put one more aim to explore the students' perception, experience, and the challenges they face regarding AI-based learning. Because most of the students complain that the question paper is what they might receive, be told, drafted by AI. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to answer. And some students has a perception, nothing to study, AI there's to help me. Some people have very good experience because AI provides accelerated learning. If you prompt it properly and you truth what it gives the results. So truthing the results produced by AI is more important. Truthing is the most expensive thing because when you work real time only, you can get the real truthing what AI says is correct or wrong. Because when I work with the tomatoes, what I grow at my courtyard, so when I see the different kinds of diseases, I take photos and I keep on studying on that. I interact with AI, with my special AI agent, and it says me things. So then I try to apply and see what is the positive result. If there is a negative result, I prompt it, I give that information. So, I'm developing a model. So what I say here, the aim is to identify the perception, experience, and challenge of students. So from that, we can explore how the students feel about AI-based learning. Now we can set a hypothesis. Student perception and challenges significantly influence the effective use of AI-based learning tools. So now you may recall why I am telling all these things again and again, just because this is actually what you're going to do. For this, you have to get data, isn't it? To get data, you should have the proper tools. You should have the proper tools. So the quality of the research depends upon the data what you collected. But the data what you collect is based on your objectives, isn't it? Then only the research will work. So now this is more important. I'm putting 10 steps. The steps for choosing appropriate data collection tool. Meantime, I need a short break. So we are going for a small break. I'm just stop recording because I have to take some hot water.